every single day. Maybe it's the way she moves, or maybe it's that long dark brown hair. Ooh, aha, yeah. Ooh, aha, yeah. Ooh, aha, yeah. Ooh. When you walk on by my house from the sky, 'cause I couldn't stop thinking about you last night. Everyone was dancing to the Smiths, but you were moving your feet, she was shaking your hips. Maybe it's the way she moves, or maybe it's that long dark brown hair. Ooh, aha, yeah. Ooh, aha, yeah. Ooh, aha, yeah. Ooh. What told you with my wolf pack? You gave me a number, but you never came back. A 1, 2, 3, 4. Woohoo. Aha, yeah. Woohoo. Aha, yeah. Woohoo. Aha, yeah. Woohoo. I don't care, 'cause I still remember your long dark brown hair. Woohoo. Aha, yeah. Woohoo. Aha, yeah. Woohoo. Aha, yeah. Woohoo. Aha, yeah.
Hello.
Hey.
As you can see, we are having an absolute stinker this evening because that wasn't the big draft preview. Well, this isn't the big draft preview. We have no producer, but we have a new producer for this week. I'm on my phone because I'm having some technical issues as well. Tom's not 100% either. It's just a disaster of a week. However, we do have a couple of bits to talk about before the four guys from the Overtime Show come on. And the first thing I wanted to mention was some new items I managed to get hold of this week. Now, I'm going to try and put my face mask inside this glass so you can kind of see it a little bit better. But I've managed to get my hands on a Raiders pint glass, which I think looks pretty cool, if I'm being honest.
Really?
And the very nice guys down at the place that made them, which our producer should be putting across the bottom now, if he's listening.
We've just had a picture come up.
But they also made this for me. There we go.
There it is.
They made this for me as well. I'll just give them an idea.
It's beautiful.
And it is absolutely stunning. Now, because I'm on my phone, I can't quite see it, but it's Elm Bank Laser Craft. They do NFL glasses, pint glasses. The price of a pint glass is a tenner plus shipping, but they have done us a deal where for the next 7 days, if you use discount code Third and Short, which I'm sure producer Bones will throw across the bottom now, it's the 3RD ampersand short. Will get you 10% off any of the NFL pint glasses this week. I think that runs out on either Sunday or Monday next week.
Yeah.
Well worth doing. I think they've had a couple of orders already. And you can use it once per account. So if you are going to order a few, you can personalise them as well. You can put your name at the bottom or whatever you want. There we go. Right slap bang in the middle of the screen. I'm on my phone, so I don't know if that's what it's supposed to look like. But there we go. This is funny. Yeah, jump on that. If you're going to order multiple, order them in one go because you'll get the discount code off all of them. As I said, it's a single-use code. I think Tom's ordering a couple. I know a few other lads are ordering some. So, yeah, give them a follow on Instagram. We'll put details on our socials. I think I put it on Instagram this morning, but we'll put it on the Facebook and the Twitter as well. Really good guys. Got chatting to them, and they were more than happy to do as a discount code for a week. And yeah, I think they're really, really smart as well. And can't believe I've actually got our logo on a glass. There we go. Looks sick. So yeah, give them a follow and all that sort of stuff. Use the discount code. Producer's getting his money's worth here, isn't he? We're getting our money's worth out of him.
Good work, Bones. We love it.
Yeah, so we have no Jamie either. Jamie's we've sacked him. We've had a meeting, and we couldn't look past the episode where we had no sound. And, because there's now 8 of us involved, we took a vote and we decided to sack him. So no, we haven't really. Jamie will be back next week, all being well. And I think there's only a couple of other bits to talk about. The first thing I wanted to mention, Tom, was there was a comment I made last week where I called Elusive Poet a moron for thinking the AFC East was a strong division. And he's commented since then saying that, we all took it, we're all a bit sensitive, or I think he aimed it at me. But his argument was that the AFC North have the Bengals and the AFC East have the Jets. But I think it was pointed out by Bones, where it was the AFC North had 3 playoff teams last year and the AFC East had 1. So you're still a fucking moron, pal. I'm happy to invite you on the show and we'll have it out. I don't even know who you are, but no, I'm only joking. We're really pleased to have you as a new listener. I genuinely don't know who you are. But I was just justifying that the AFC North had 3 playoff teams and the AFC East had 1. So
you'll also probably realise that a fucking moron is a weak insult for us.
Oh, yeah.
If you're new to the show, there's no offence meant by it all. Well, it probably is because it's Matt that said it, but
if I'm calling
it's
someone
just part of the parcel.
It's a term of endearment for me.
Yeah. So, get in touch. We're always after new guests, so it'd be great to have you on. Just message the Twitter, JP or Gaz will jump on and get you sorted, get you booked in. We need content, as you can tell. Me and Matt are here to fill a 10-minute gap until overtime starts. So we're happy to have someone on that we've insulted.
We're done.
Yeah.
The only other thing I wanted to bring up was the London games have been announced, haven't they?
Yes.
For October time, and obviously I'm sure most of the group chat and ourselves are going to be looking at going. It's Dolphins, Jags, isn't it? And then Falcons, Jets, I think, is it?
Jets, yeah.
Not 2 great matchups really, but at least
I think the Dolphins and Jags is probably the most exciting one, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. Get to see.
But then again, I suppose you can pick players out of them all that you'll want to see. Like, I imagine a load of people will want to see Pitts live. And then you've got all the Jets first rounders that you've had. Let's see what Zach Wilson's like and everything like that. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully we'll get it sorted. Hopefully Mr. Love will add some value to the group rather than just sharing the same thing that's been shared over and over again, and sort us out something to do with the UK games. If you're listening, that is. Yeah, I can't wait for hope we can get some tickets. This will be my first one that we'll be going to. Ties in perfectly for us, done it with our mate's birthday, who's a Jags fan.
Yeah.
So it'd be great if we can get it.
Yeah, I think that's about it. There's nothing else has happened, has it?
We just wanted to make sure we showed our faces more than anything.
Yeah, I'm keeping the streak alive. I know I popped on for 3 minutes a couple of weeks ago. I've just about doubled that, I think, this week. Yeah, whilst it's the off season, it was part of the reason why we brought in the overtime guys, so their knowledge is far better than ours. I think that's fair to say, and they're probably more likable than we are, if I'm being honest.
Agreed. And I'm sure Lucy Poet will probably agree.
Yeah. Yeah, it's enjoy the next part of the show. I think they've got which division are they in this week?
Vikings.
Yes.
And the likes. Yes.
Yeah. So they'll all pick a team again.
NFC North, that's it.
Yeah. And I can't remember who's got what team, but it should be entertaining. It was good last week. I managed to watch it for the first time. Watch pretty much a full episode that I wasn't involved in. It was
great.
Fun. I'm still learning as well. I know you are as well, Tom. So it's good to get perhaps an unbiased opinion of some of the teams. Really, it'd be interesting to see. how they fare when it comes to their own teams. You know, you've got JP in the 49ers. I think he'll be really, really good at breaking down his team. I really hope Mark goes in on the Raiders. I think he will. And Jordan's too laid back for me. He's just dead casual, isn't he?
Loves it.
And then and Bones will talk about the run heavy team of the Lions, which sure they're not. I can't say much because he's producers, or he can boot me off. Nice waistcoat, Mark.
Typical DJ. I'm looking forward to it. I know it's a first, to be fair, mate. You know, he'll normally message me saying like, "What time's the show?" At 10 o'clock at night. Yeah. I'm looking forward to the NFC East. Just purely for Mark to take the Giants, and he's already said he's just going to heap it all on DJ. So I'll probably jump on for that episode as well, just so I can try and fight his corner a little bit. But yeah, I really like them. I think it's a great 8 weeks of content we've got with those guys. And by the time it's coming towards the end, they'll have more. There's just loads that they want to delve into. So for those that you want to learn deeper, but also those that you're already at that knowledge and just want to hear people's opinions on it, why not listen to them? It's far more entertaining than me and Matt just chatting crap for 40 minutes beforehand.
They talked today about doing a proper quarterback analysis, didn't they, of what they see before the snap and what they have to take in. So that'd be really good, because I don't think a lot of people know that most quarterbacks will look at the lineup from the other team, how they've set up, and try and predict what they're going to do. There's a great clip of Philip Rivers, isn't there? I can't remember what but he picks out like number 5-2 or whatever he says. You're going to do this. You're going to do it. And he does do it. And the defender says to it something like, "How did you know what I was going to do before I knew what I was going to do?"
So, did you know my call? I play better than me.
Yeah.
He said he was lining up wrong or something, didn't he? He was like, "You're lining up wrong." Like, what the hell?
Yeah, it's great. So it'd be good to hopefully, whichever producer we have on at the time. Now we've got multiple producers. We've also got an IT guy, JP, who's tried to do my piece remotely tonight. What are we here for? We don't need.
It's just a filler. Absolute filler. Just need time for Jordan to get on.
But yeah, hopefully they're all on now, and we can pass over the baton. And are they joining us, or are they just going to boot us off? I don't know.
I imagine. Yeah, here we go. Bone's going to bring him in one by one.
There we go.
There we go. Perfect. So I suppose we leave it to you then. Mark, are you being the host again as per last week?
I'm not this time. No. We decided to have a little switch around each week. Just in joke, Rocky Balboa in the background there. just
What's the joke, Mark?
Where's his other hand?
In joke, Rocky in the background. For those who are in the know. But no, I'm not doing the hosting this week. Who is doing the hosting this week? Did we decide? Was it you, Bones?
I think it was. I've got my hands full though.
Bones
producing and hosting.
Not setting myself an easy task this week. No.
Don't big Jamie up when he's not here. It's a doddle. It's a doddle. Nope, no, it's not.
Definitely wants you.
I don't know if anyone saw that, but his door just opened as he went off camera. I think Jamie's just come to kill him for taking his
I was getting my beer. I forgot my beer of the week.
Who was bringing that in for you, though? That you had to close the camera?
Is that Lucy?
It was, yeah. I haven't asked her, more importantly, so I don't want to just...
How long has Jamie been on the show and he hasn't got himself an assistant yet, has it?
I should have... Well, it was my own poor preparation that led me to this position, so...
So, yeah, I imagine we'll bounce out then.
It was lovely to see you both.
Yeah.
Best so for me, but, you know...
Hey, no. It was better for you because we know what you were doing before this show started.
Yeah.
And on that note,
I'll let you go. Before you go, though, Tom. Bones, I was going to ask.
I'll bring you back. I'm back.
Matt, Tom, before you go, have you two lost weight?
It's mine's my phone, mate. It's a different camera.
I'm up to 2 stone now.
Tom's Tom's lost
Yeah, that's
everything.
just the right tip, what it weighs.
Well done. Matt's went to Australia, so he's
I'm just
upside down.
waiting
He's
for
in Australia.
Right.
See you later, lads.
Bye.
Take care.
Thanks for Dave gone, eh? Jesus,
guess-
that was a fucking long 10 minutes, wasn't it?
Oh, just a little bit, yeah. So, I think we're on the I guess not who's going to win the NFC North. That's the wrong caption, but we are on the NFC North this week, aren't we? We said we were going to do it alphabetically each week. So, what's that? That was the Bears first, then, won't it? Who had the Bears in the end?
Me. I'm going to palm them off on Jordan. Jordan wasn't going to take it. So,
A good try.
hey,
For me,
I'm going to have the Bears. I get to talk about Justin Fields for 15 minutes. I absolutely love that. You know what I mean? Before we go on to it, though, should we just talk a little bit about the NFC North as a division?
oh yeah, for sure.
What it's normally like as a division, because we did that on the AFC yesterday. Bones, you're an NFC North stalwart. You're obviously a Lions fan. What would you say would best describe the NFC North as a kind of division within itself?
It's much like it was last week because it's another Northern Territory like region. So it is a lot of run football. It's a lot of run first offenses, but then you've got people like Aaron Rodgers who's been there for ever basically now. So that's been part of the division. You've got to always factor in the Packers when that happens. But it's a predominantly run heavy division. It's my favorite division. I love to watch the NFC North games. I think it's got some of the most history in the whole NFL. Realistically, they are some of the oldest teams that the league has to offer any of us. And there's some storied rivalries that go back like 100 years at this point, I guess, after last year, was it? So, yeah, it's a really good division. I think it's one of those divisions that doesn't get much attention because it doesn't change a lot. It's normally the Packers come out top of the division, and then either the Vikings or the Bears are second in the division. We're never sending three teams to the playoffs. Like realistically, that doesn't happen often anyway. But it's a tough division. I think it's still even though we don't send that many teams to the playoff, I don't think it's an easy division to get your wins in. And yeah, like you say, it's a storied division, and that's what got me into it. Realistically, the age of the teams and the history of it all.
When I think of the NFC North, I instantly think of the Bears and the Packers. You know, and them and that rivalry. There's a few rivalries in American football which I would say where there's proper hatred that runs through it. I think Philadelphia Eagles and New York Giants, is a big rivalry game. Baltimore Ravens versus Pittsburgh Steelers is another real, punch them in the face kind of run you over rivalry game. I think to some extent, although it's been a bit lopsided, the Oakland Raiders or the Las Vegas Raiders now, I suppose it is, and the Kansas City Chiefs. You know what I mean? There's been a fierce rivalry game. But I just think when I think of the NFC North, I automatically think of Bears and Packers, Monday night football or primetime football, usually in November or December, horizontal sleet. You know what I mean? And just a real, and I've got this vision of Aaron Rodgers, with his big mitt thing on his body, and his turtleneck pulled right up here, and all the air, the condensation coming off his breath. It looks like a fierce division to play in. It really does.
You don't want to get tackled in that division when you're playing outside at Lambeau, do you? It's like hitting concrete, on that frozen turf. No, I think you hit on a good point that the Bears Packers rivalry is a big one. It's the division that brought us the Thanksgiving game. I know as English people that doesn't mean a huge thing. We don't celebrate Thanksgiving, but it is the division that gave you the Thanksgiving Day games. So thank the Lions for that.
I think Mike Matt says there, with the Bears and Packers being a big rivalry from thinking, I think the Vikings and Packers over the last few years especially has been really big games, because Vikings have obviously they've had their past and stuff, but really on the scene recently, I look for that game a lot in the in that division now over the last few years. You know, we've not. Sorry, Bones, it might happen a few times tonight, but like obviously with Lions not being around as much in the last 10 years competing, even the Bears as well. The Bears have always been maybe just getting to the playoffs, but not doing much really. I always look for that Vikings Packers game over the last few years, and they've been good contests.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think saying the last 10 years for the Lions is very generous. I don't think we've been competing for the last 57 years, but you know,
I'm sure Bones will correct us, and I haven't looked at this stat, but I'm pretty sure that if you go around the NFL, the Lions are one of the few teams that have never played in a Super Bowl. Would that be right, Bones?
Yeah, we never played in a Super Bowl. Our only championship wins are before the Super Bowl existed.
Yeah.
So after that, since in the Super Bowl era, we've got one playoff win, I think, in the Super Bowl era. I think we won a wild card game at some point, and that's about it.
That's really bad. And sometimes I say that like the Raiders are bad, but hey, you know, like could be worse. Could be worse.
I just looked it up actually because I was curious what year the Lions last won the division. It was 1993. But also the playoff victory I think you're referring to was in 1991, Bones. You won in the divisional round and lost in the NFC Championship. That would have been presumably Barry Sanders' era.
What a waste his career.
Greatest running back of all time, and he was stuck at Detroit and didn't win a thing.
Calvin Johnson as well, didn't you?
And both of them retired way younger than they should have.
Do you blame them?
No. No. I can blame the Lions for taking the money back off them, though. I think that's not a good move.
That's driven quite a wedge, hasn't it, between you guys and I think Calvin Johnson, hasn't it? I think
Johnson especially. Sanders is over it now, apparently. In his own words, he's past it. He's moved on, but Calvin Johnson has never really looked at the Lions the same.
I've got few other teams' jerseys, but one of the jerseys I have got is a Calvin Johnson Jr. jersey for the Detroit Lions. And I still say to this day, he should have been the Raiders pick instead of Jamarcus Russell. Instead of Jamarcus Russell, we should have got Calvin Johnson.
He'd have probably had a longer career.
Well, I think it was Al Davis who was all in on the Jamarcus Russell train, and I think we wanted. I think we were all in on Calvin Johnson. But the man in charge, the guy who ruled the roost, Big Al, was all about Jamarcus Russell at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's. I mean, it is a great division. It's a forgotten about division, I guess, a lot of the time. Sorry, I just accidentally clicked the chat overlay. First time producer and host and breaking down the Lions. No, I love this division. I watch it every year. As a suffering Lions fan, I watch this division every year, and I think it's a division that people don't watch a lot. Especially the Lions is a team that people don't watch a lot, and it's when like this year, obviously with Stafford going to the Rams, there's a lot of people who are like don't really watch enough Stafford tape to understand how good this guy is. Like, he is such a good quarterback. He has put Detroit on his back so many times to win games. Like, I can't wait to see him in LA. And I think a lot of people who don't watch a lot of Detroit games because we're not really on prime time are going to see what we've all been saying about Matt Stafford for years now, that he is good. And
I've always said that Matt Stafford's the turn of elite in quarterbacks. You've got your elite quarterbacks, you know, you've got the guys who are in the top tier, and then you've got the guys who are in that top of the middle end of tier, and I would probably put Carr in that tier, you know, and I would probably say that Matt Stafford is just before Ryan Tannehill on the turn of elite there, you know what I mean? If I was listing the top quarterbacks, I'm going Mahomes, Russell, Rodgers, I'm going all them guys, you know, Deshaun Watson before he had his legal issues. And I always say, like, you know, Matt Stafford's on the turn of that elite. You know, he's the great area between elite ending, above average starting. And he always slots in there. I have him above Matt Ryan and players like that. You know, like on quarterback rankings. When I look at me, and he's been, and we're talking about an MVP there, and Matt Ryan. But I'm like you, Bones. I think that Matt Stafford is criminally underrated. Hasn't helped them playing on a bad team. I have arguments with some Raiders fans sometimes, you know what I mean, who say that Carr's better than Stafford. I'm like, he's not like Stafford's a better player than Carr. You know, like if Carr reached Stafford, if Carr's ceiling was Stafford, I'd be pleased. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I think people are going to see a different side of Stafford this year. I can't wait. As much as it's sad to see him go, I can't wait to see him in a team that could go all the way. Like, because we're not that team right now. We haven't been basically ever. So, on that note, we should probably get into the first team of the NFC North, which is the Chicago Bears, alphabetically. So, I'll let you go.
So really, like all Chicago Bears fans need to know is that you've got Justin Fields. You know what I mean? You're on the boat. Like Pace and Nagy are probably in last chance saloon, and to land a quarterback like Justin Fields is like a golden egg for them. Both jobs are under pressure for both of them. The Mitch Trubisky, era is over and gone, and how Pace managed to survive that is beyond me, to be perfectly honest with you. But this year in the draft, Justin Fields fell, and as he started falling, I was thinking, dear God, let the Raiders move up from. Dear God, let the Raiders move up from. And then of course there was a trade that was coming in, and it was the Chicago Bears who moved up. And I think when all said and done, when all the dust is settled, Justin Fields was probably quarterback number 2 in this year's draft. I know that people, these are all nodding because and I've been saying for a while, and I know Jordan's on the same side of as things as me. When it comes into draft, players can get overanalyzed and overanalyzed and overanalyzed. There's that gap, isn't there, between college playoffs and college championships and in the bowl games and the actual draft. And I think sometimes what happens is people overanalyze. People make it more difficult on themselves. You know what I mean? Or they forget to look at statistics and what's there and what the player is, and start looking at projections and what can be, and they start picking faults and whatnot,
They look at too much good tape as well, don't they? That's something they seem to do. It's like you look at all the good tape and you forget to watch any of the bad tape, and you just build up this person in your head. Yeah. So
Justin Fields for me is just a tremendous prospect. He was in Georgia first of all in 2018. He was signed to Georgia. He had an issue there with racism. It wasn't pretty. It didn't look good on Georgia. And he transferred out and he went to Ohio and he sat behind Haskins. You know what I mean? And then he stepped into that. And Ohio quarterbacks, you know what I mean? Haven't really done awfully well in the NFL. I think it's fair to say that they've been less than good. But I think we're going to see somebody break the mold in Justin Fields. I was watching Kurt Warner earlier on today. I sent you the link on the chat. And I watched the Kurt Warner detailed breakdown of Justin Fields. And just how good this kid is. Just how good this kid is. He's super intelligent. I don't know, and this is me getting a bit on my high horse, but it is true, like racism in America and how they view black-coloured quarterbacks. You know what I mean? If you're a black quarterback, you get dubbed as athletic. To the point where last year, I think, or a couple of years back, somebody said that Dwayne Haskins was a dual threat quarterback.
Yeah, that was definitely.
If you actually saw Dwayne Haskins, he's a statue. But because he was black, he was hard with that automatically. He's a dual threat quarterback. And you're like, you haven't watched any takes. You can't move for shit. You know what I mean? And that's how it is. I think people get lazy if you're white. You're super intelligent and accurate with the ball. And if you're black, you're athletic with a lot of traits.
Yeah.
And I think,
I agree.
We said it about wide receivers and tight ends, though, didn't we? Every fast black wide receiver is compared to Hill. Yeah. Every white tight end is compared to Gronk coming out of the draft. People are really lazy and have these comparisons that they just go back to every single time without even thinking if it's true or not.
I mean, I saw a draft comparison where Justin Fields was compared to Robert Griffin III, and watch him for 5 minutes, they're completely different players. Fields is a much better passer. It's just madness.
If I'm comparing Justin Fields to anyone, I'm comparing him to Steve McNair. Now, if that's my comparison, that's what I'm comparing to. Fields has got a lively arm. He hasn't got a bullet of an arm like Trey Lance. He hasn't got this cannon, but he's got plenty enough. But what Fields is incredibly smart. People see he has trouble processing. It's because that offense he was playing, wasn't designed to be processed. There was a lot of run option, but the times when he had to drop back and he had to go through his reads, and we were watching that thing with Kurt Warner earlier on, the kid is screwed on smart and accurate, and he's athletic, and he can run, and he can break the pocket. I'm not quite sure how he was quarterback 4 taken. I think as much as I love Trey Lance, I thought Justin Fields was a better prospect there. For any Jets fans that are tuned in and watching, I think Justin Fields would have been a better fit there at New York Jets. This kid in Georgia, let us go through. This kid in Ohio, let us go through his awards for you. And I've got them here for you, okay? He was Big Ten Football Championship MVP, second All-Team American, 2 first-team All-Big Tens. Then we look at his statistics. Okay, I'm actually looking at his statistics. 67.2% accuracy, 3,273 yards, 41 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Then the next year, 70.2% accuracy, 2,100 yards. This was in 8 games, 22 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. We look at his game against Clemson. This is a kid who took a clattering, early in the game, to the point where the linebacker got dismissed. He missed 1 play, came back, threw 6 touchdowns against Dabo Swinney, Brett Venables led Clemson team. We're not talking about playing some Mickey Mouse team. We're talking about Clemson and Brent Venables defense here. And he threw 6 touchdowns on them with a broken rib. This kid is fantastic. And I think it doesn't really matter what else Chicago did, because they've landed a quarterback that can get behind and they can finally move off Mitch Trubisky. Andy Dalton, thanks but no thanks. This kid should start year 1. And they've got the tools around them. They've lost some key defensive pieces, but they've still got Khalil Mack. They brought back Edwards Jr. as well, who was another Raider. They've got 2 Raiders on their team. They've got Khalil Mack, who's tremendous. They've got Edwards Jr. They've lost some pieces in their secondary, but they've still got Eddie Jackson. So their defense isn't what it used to be, but that offense is stacked. They brought back Robinson, terrific wide receiver, absolutely terrific wide receiver. I thought they were going to lose him. Brilliant at 3 levels of the field. They brought back Darnell Mooney, who was a late round flyer last year, and that's what he is. He's a deep ball flyer. I mean, we took Henry Ruggs in the 1st round. They took Mooney in the 3rd or 4th or something like that. And to be honest with you, Mooney had the better rookie season than Ruggs. And that's value, that. So they've got Mooney. They've got Anthony Miller, who was a 1st round draft pick a few years back. So they've got a good trio of tight ends, and they've got Cole Kmet. You know what I mean? I like what they're doing, and Jimmy Graham's there, evergreen Jimmy Graham. I really like what this team is building now, and it looks so much different with Justin Fields at quarterback than Andrew Dalton. With Andrew Dalton, then I'm thinking they're lucky if they win 6 games or not.
Yeah, I was just going to say that Ryan Pace has actually done a pretty good job as GM. The only thing he didn't have really is the quarterback. They screwed up taking Trubisky, but they weren't the only team that valued him highly that year. So it's not like they came out of nowhere with that pick. But yeah, I look at that team. The only problem they've really had is quarterback. They've got one now, so it'd be interesting to see where they can go.
I think they need a little bit more depth at running back. I could see them going into into the cuts. See who's cutting roster cuts. They've basically got David Montgomery and they've got Tariq Cohen, and that's pretty much what they're looking at running back. I think they could do with another vet there. If someone's cut, in training camp, I wouldn't be surprised if they put up a running back. I love the fact that they got Tevin Jenkins, who can play right tackle or right guard. The kid from Oklahoma, I don't think people thought was going to fall out of the 1st round. I'm surprised he fell out the 1st round. And the Bears were aggressive again and moved up and got him. Lost a lot of that draft capital, but they filled their 2 biggest needs with, consensus best players available at the board, and were willing to move up and get them. And they got 2 bona fide starters. One will start right tackle or guard, and the other one should start day 1 at quarterback. Just move off Andy Dalton. Give Justin Fields a ball. Thanks, but no thanks. Let's not wait. Let's not wait until week 6 in the division, to be honest. Because I tell you what, if Aaron Rodgers leaves Green Bay, this division can be won by any of 4 teams, including Hughes Bones.
I know, it's crazy to think, isn't it, if Rodgers leaves, how open this division suddenly becomes. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. And I think I think any of these 4 teams can win this division. I think they'll all look at it and go, yeah, if Rodgers goes, we've all got a chance. And I think that's this division is wide open without Rodgers in it. And I think Chicago Bears do not want to get off to a slow start. Just give the ball to Fields. Thank you, the Red Rifle. You can sit on the bench, become the mentor. Nick Foles, you can disappear. And just put the ball in this kid's hands. Because what we're seeing with Jalen Hurts is that young quarterbacks will come in and they'll make it work with their legs, and Fields will make it work with his legs to start off with. But he's a good enough passer, and he's clever, and he's accurate enough to be able to pass and win in the NFL as a legitimate passer as well,
And the other thing is, like, why would you not put him in? You aren't going anywhere with Andy Dalton at quarterback. Like, I know we've talked. I think we touched on it with Trey Lance. Like, there's an element of why would you leave him on the bench, but at least with Garoppolo, you can point to some success that he's had.
Yeah,
Dalton has always been an average/below average NFL starter. What on earth are you getting from leaving him in? Really, other than maybe just giving him a bit more, Fields a bit more time to learn the offense or something. But I don't think he'll need it. I think they got to go with him week 1.
You know what you're going to get with Andrew Dalton, and it's going to be something like 17 from 25, 228 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception, and probably 3 or 4 sacks. That's what you're going to get from Andy Dalton. We know this at this point. We know what he's going to be.
Yeah.
He's going to be about a 65 to 70% accuracy thrower. He's going to throw a touchdown. He's going to throw a pick. He's going to get hit because he's got limited mobility at this age. You know what I mean? So he's going to eat the dirt a little bit. With Fields, that kid could who tell me now what Fields' opening stat line's going to be? We don't know, and that's the exciting part of putting somebody like Fields in.
I'm just looking at the Bears schedule, and they need to get off to a quick start by the looks of it. 'Cause obviously, they've got the Rams first game, and you've got Bengals and Browns. Then you've got the Lions and Raiders back to back. But then I look, and they've got Packers. Obviously, we don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to be there. Buccaneers, 49ers, Steelers, Ravens, and then obviously back to the Lions. If they don't get a good start early on, they could. Obviously, you never know and stuff with Aaron Rodgers, but you've got Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, 49ers will be a different force this year, with all the injuries back, and Steelers and Ravens after. It could be a downward spiral if they don't get off to a quick start with them games early.
Our whole division has some interesting matchups though this year, with just the way it's fallen and the divisions we've got to play. Like, I don't think any team in our division is going to have. Maybe the Packers have the easiest schedule, perhaps. But none of us have an easy ride of it, looking at the schedule strength and stuff like that.
Unlike in the NFC North, you're going to have to win your division to get your playoffs, because you're not going to get a wild card team from this division. No. Not with the schedule and the teams are going to play and other people in there in the NFC. If you wanted to get the playoffs, you better hope you're winning this division, because I don't think a wild card team is going to come from here. No. I think the wild card team is going to come from the NFC South. You know what I mean? And probably from the NFC West. You know what I mean? And if there's a third one, I think that'll still come from the NFC West as well. You know what I mean? So I think in the NFC North, if you're a Lions fan or a Chicago Bears fan or Vikings or Packers, and you better hope that you're winning your division. Because an 8-8 record isn't going to carry into the playoffs, or well, you can't have 8-8 anymore, can you? 9-8, or you know what I mean? It's not gonna, it's not gonna take you in there anymore. No. So I mean, that's where I'm at with Chicago Bears. I would have given you a D. I would have said you were on for like a 6 to 7 win season, and then you had a really good draft, and you mightn't have spent many picks, but you went and got 2 first-round talents and moved up and were aggressive to get them. They filled your biggest needs. One goes on the offensive line, either inside or out, starts day one, and the other one's a really exciting quarterback. And that's what counts in this league, quarterbacks,
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very good way to look at it. Like I say, I think they showed last year they can run the ball. Like, I'm watching Chicago play against us and Green Bay and stuff. I saw Chicago run the ball a lot. Montgomery is looking like a good pickup. Like, I think you're right. They could use maybe another veteran head in the run, especially the way it's all running back committees now. Like, they probably need another one, but a solid running quarterback to add to that mix is just going to make that offense even more like lethal, I think. And I'm happy for them. I'm not happy to play them, if that makes like I'm not looking forward to playing against the Bears this year. I'm a little bit worried, but same going into every year as a Lions fan. I'm always a little bit worried.
I'm so miffed because I'm really jealous. I want to be happy and excited about my football team. And nothing makes you more happy and excited than good young players in key positions like quarterback. When you go from mediocre, which is what Andy Dalton is, and you go to exciting, which is what Justin Fields is, I kind of feel that. Because I think that Derek Carr's just a little bit of a rich man's version of Andy Dalton. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, he's a better player than Andy Dalton. But he's that mediocre, drab, yawn, bored. You know, like, I know what I'm going to get from Derek Carr. And I'm really eager for this exciting, new, modern, big quarterback. And I just wish it was us that had traded up and it wasn't the Bears. But it's the Bears. He's a jammy. You've got lots to look forward to. You've got some really exciting defenders in Mack and Roquan Smith. You've got some really good pieces on offense. I really hate you. I'm really envious. I could probably say this to 31 other teams in the NFL at the minute. But yeah, that's where you're at. A lot to be pleased about. Yeah.
I agree 100%. Like, I do think they've got a lot to be pleased about. I think they've got a good opportunity going into the season to do something with it as well. Like, I don't think they're coming in unable to potentially make a run in the division. Like we say, if Rodgers is gone, it's wide open, isn't it? But I think even if Rodgers is there, I think the Chicago are probably in with a good chance. Even then, like, we'll see. But Green Bay keep getting stuck, like, don't they? They keep
15 minutes per franchise is out the window here, isn't it?
As usual, we're well out. We did spend a bit of time at the start.
I think it was 15 minutes for Justin Fields, wasn't he? Even a franchise.
He is the franchise. He is the franchise.
That is true. No, it's what more is there to say on the Bears? I guess we'll.
I'll say this one more thing. There was 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round this year, and I said it last week. One of them's going to fail. One of them's going to fail because
at least one.
Likely that 5 will come in and do amazing. It will not be Justin Fields. I'll tell you that for now. I'll put my reputation on it. It will not be Justin Fields.
That seems like a fair.
I think that's a fair.
I think that is a fair bet. I think, no offense again, JP. I think Trey Lance is probably up there as one of the potentially way for.
I said last week it's a risk. I think it is. I think Fields in some ways is a safe pick.
Wilson, I think as well.
Wilson. Yeah.
I think Fields will just be a middle of the road, low ceiling, high floor kind of. Andy Dalton. It could be like Andy Dalton. You know.
I guess the next team alphabetically, if I've got my alphabet right, is my team.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So we will move over to the Detroit Lions. So I said to JP earlier, I've not actually, because it's my team, I've not done any research. I'm just going to go with what I felt at the time and what I've learned about our draft and stuff, just off the top of my head, because it's my team, isn't it? I'm gonna believe, I think that I can do this. So no, to be fair, this is the first year we're going into it. We've got rid of Matt Patricia, and I think most Lions fans had like a sigh of relief when we heard the news that Patricia and Quinn were gone. The Boston boys, the New England people, gone again. Get them gone. Like, I'm happy to see the back of that era. It didn't work, and by all accounts, it was a pretty toxic work environment for our football team. So if you could go from one one end of the spectrum to the other in a single change of management, Detroit has really done that. We've gone from Patricia, the mad genius pencil behind his ear, to Dan Campbell, I'm going to bite your kneecaps off and punch you in the face. That is possibly one of the things I'm most excited for about coming into this year is our new GM and coaching combination every time it happens, though, you get hopeful and you hope it's going to be the best. And I don't know. Brad Holmes is looking like he was really excited about his picks. He's got a good. He was said to what? He was said to be doing the Rams draft board when he was there. Like he was one of the head scouts. He'd been at the Rams for 18 years, I think it was, and he'd survived multiple leadership changes. And I think that's something people mention about Brad Holmes is like throughout all the changes that happened at the Rams, they kept Brad Holmes, which tells you everything you need to know about his character as a person. And I just think him and Dan Campbell sound like a good combination of people. Campbell's got that fire. They've assembled a coaching staff of entirely football guys. So like next year when the coaching fight conversation comes up, whose team's coaches would win in a fight, it is now Detroit. We would beat the Tennessee Titans. Mike Vrabel would get his ass kicked by the Detroit Lions coaching staff. So we can at least take that little victory. But in terms of the draft, like, I mean, what can you say about the Lions draft? Sewell fell to us. Unbelievable. Like, slight head scratcher when we took back-to-back 2 inside defensive linemen, but then going back and looking at the tape, Levi Onwuzurike is looking really good. I'm really excited to see this guy play. I think he's probably going to be up for a potential starting job. Like our other inside defensive tackles at the moment are Danny Shelton. I think is like the starter right now. Maybe I just don't think he's hit. But it looks like we're gonna be rotating. I think that's why we took Aleem McNeil as well. Is he's not exactly those two guys do different jobs and will be rotated in and out to either like be the 3-tack or to be the rushing inside defensive tackle and stuff like that. So that was, at first I was shocked when we took 2 back-to-back that early on in the draft as well. It wasn't like there weren't other positions on the board, and we all know at the time I was desperate for a linebacker. I was like, and we need to get rid of Jelani Tavai. I'm sick of watching Jelani Tavai play football badly. Get him out of Detroit, get him gone, get a new middle linebacker because you're killing me. And thankfully we did eventually, but we'll come to that because I think after those 2 was Ifatu Melifonwu. His first name's quite hard to pronounce, but we need So I've seen some more stuff about him since the draft, and some people saying that he could possibly fall into a safety role for us if we need him to. Like he can fit that, but I don't see it. I think we need help at cornerback, and I imagine he's probably going to be in at corner for us between. But we've only really got Oruwariye and Okuda right now, I think. I don't think there's any more cornerbacks really of note on the roster. So, and I think we've got a safety and our safeties at the moment. So, no, I think Melifonwu hopefully plays cornerback. Hopefully all these guys make it to the team. But it's like we said the other week, you hope that every single pick in your draft board is going to be amazing. And some of them aren't going to be. Like, some of them are inevitably going to be reaches and aren't going to work out for the team. So yeah, I was interested to see that. Amon-Ra St. Brown, like we needed receiver help. This guy's going to come in and play straight away. Like he might not be the best receiver in the class at all, but he's got some things that need polishing up. He's a good route runner. Like Devonta Smith is the clear winner in route runners in the class this year, but St. Brown is a good route runner, and he's not that far behind Smith. He's got some concentration problems, maybe. He does have a few drop balls. I've seen tape where he'll look upfield before he's made the catch to see where he's going to run, and then that results in him not completing the pass. But tidying up those kind of things, like make the catch before you look where you're going to run, because it doesn't matter where you're going to run if you don't catch the ball in the first place to run with it. Like, focus on the first bit. But no, I think he'll also be a good addition. I think we've lost so much this year. I think it's hard to look at the Lions right now and say we're not in full rebuild mode. Like we've lost everything basically. Galladay's gone, like Stafford's gone. We got a decent offensive line though. To be fair, for what Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn actually managed to do, they did manage to get us into a decent position with our offensive line where we had Decker and Ragnow already. You add Sewell to that combination. Crosby could stick around. Rumors he's getting traded away, but that's another story. Like we have a decent offensive line that could do well for us, and I think I think coming into this next season, we're still not going to be a top-tier team. The one pick I'm most excited to see, and I hope he makes the team, is Derek Barnes. The stuff I've heard about this guy is like, yeah, he seems like a proper, like, he's just going after it. He's fully invested, which is, I'm really happy to see. Like, he's even got a massive lion tattoo on his chest because it's his favorite animal in the world, like from before he was a Detroit Lion, obviously. So, I mean, it's like it was made to happen. But this guy, no, I'm happy to see us take a middle linebacker. This guy's like motor, his drive, like his personality just seems perfect. I can't wait to see him play with the new coaching staff as well, because I think that is the other thing here is these guys. I don't think these guys would have been successful under our previous establishment, but I think with the attitude that our new coaching staff have, is like some of these guys are going to come in and hopefully be more successful, and hopefully it's going to make people want to come and play football in Detroit. And that is something that we need. Like, we've all heard the story about Gronk retiring rather than coming and playing for the Lions. Like, it is a thing. Like, people don't want to come play in Detroit. It was a bad atmosphere. Like, I wouldn't want to play for Matt Patricia either. So I'm really, really happy with it so far. I think our picks were good. I think we managed to get an extra pick out of trading up to get Barnes, which was quite impressive. Like, we gave away next year's 4th, which is another reason people are talking about the Crosby trade, if we can get some value back for Crosby after trading away to bring Barnes in. But the rumor is quite a few teams contacted the Lions to congratulate them on drafting Barnes, like divisional like opponents and stuff. Like that's a good pick for you guys. Like, we were going to take him, or this, that, and the other. Like, so no, I'm super happy with the draft so far. Sewell, obviously, I don't really need to say much about it, do I? This guy is going to be with us, hopefully, for years, but is going to be a cornerstone piece on the offensive line. He sounds like he's going to play right tackle to start with, at least while Decker's still there. I don't see any reason to shift Decker out of the left tackle right now. Yeah, and I think I'm just excited to see that offensive line with DeAndre Swift. I think DeAndre Swift is a good running back.
It's a good position, yeah. I like them. I'm looking at your draft chart. No, I like Taylor Decker. I like Jonah Jackson. I like Frank Wagner. Logan Stenberg, who we got out of Kentucky. I loved him last year.
That was last year, wasn't it? Our new guard, yeah.
I loved him last year. So he's in there at right guard. You got Penny Sewell. That's a really nasty offensive line. Logan Stenberg was just blocking people into the ground when I was watching tape in 2020 of him for Kentucky. I was like, watch this guard. He's the one who's running the linebacker 20 yards up into the field, or just throwing him down the dirt. He would get kicked out of games quite a lot, mind you, like, 'cause he wouldn't know when to end the block. But he was such a good player, Logan Stenberg, and I really liked him. He was mean. I'm looking at your depth chart at running back. You've got Swift, who we talked about. You've got Jamal Williams, who you took.
He's going to be on for one against Green Bay, isn't he? Like, when he plays against Green Bay, I can't wait to watch him play against them.
He's a good player. Obviously, wide receiver. We know like you have talent at wide receiver. I think that you're right. Amon St. Brown will come in and start. And when I watch St. Brown, obviously his brother, Equiminius St. Brown, plays for the Packers as well. So you got the two of them in the NFC North. But when I watched Amon St. Brown, what I saw a guy who was good enough at everything. Yeah. Not great at one thing. He was a good enough route runner. He was good enough yards after the catch. He was good enough going above the rim and catching the ball. He was good enough in shallow zone and catching it there. He could play X and he could play Y. You know what I mean? And he moved around a little bit for USC. I think he's going to be a middle of the road, kind of like, wide receiver. If anyone can remember James Thrash a couple of years back for the Washington Redskins and for the Philadelphia Eagles. Do you remember James Thrash?
I remember Thrash, yeah.
Reminds us a bit of James Thrash. You know what I mean? Kind of like he'll do all right. He'll get his hands on the ball. He has got some drops issues. I'm not too fussed about that in the NFL. Getting open is more important than catching it. You know what I mean? If you're getting open, you can tidy up the drops. We're not
going to see any Golladay moments from him, that's for sure. Like, we're not going to see Golladay tier catches. But if Quintez Cephas comes on and plays well this year, like
Wisconsin, was he from Wisconsin? Cephas, I think he was.
I think it's Wisconsin, but
I like what you've got there. I'm looking at your defense, and you're right. I like Trey Flowers. I like Michael Brockers. What I see on your defensive tackle position is I see a lot of variation. You've got Michael Brockers who come across from the Rams. Yeah. He's a very good defensive tackle. He can play. You've got Aleem McNeil, who I thought was the best one tech in the draft. He's very rare to have a one tech that can push the pocket. Like a nose tackle, like one tech for those is a nose tackle. A nose tackle who can push the pocket. Mostly they're all big space he has, but he's very good in generating a pass rush. So you've got him in there at one tech. You've got Levi Owuzurike, who's a 3 tech. So even though you're on paper, he's a drafted 2 defensive tackles, you've actually drafted a 1 tech and a 3 tech, which is 2 completely different positions. And I like what you got with Melifonwu. I would sack off moving him to safety. Don't do the mistake what we did with his brother of trying to use athleticism all over the field. The kid's a corner. He was very good at Syracuse as a corner. He could do with being a bit more physical, but he's got athletic traits for days. Just put him on the perimeter and don't let his missed tackle rate show up in safety position because he's got that coverage. You know what I mean? No, just stick him on the corner and protect him because he's not a great tackler. He's not overly physical, but he is very, very athletic. And he'll stick with number 1 wide receivers.
I heard something interesting about our corners now. Between Melifonwu, Owuwarie, and Okuda, all their families originate from the same country. Apparently, I can't remember which country it is. I don't want to say the wrong one.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're apparently they've already messaged each other. Because they've just already got that bond, and I think that's probably quite a good thing for a team if that bonding is already done for you by this cultural element that you don't always factor into it. But yeah, I think that's super cool. I'm happy to see them all play together.
I think a lot of the betting's got the Giants picking in the the Lions picking in the top 5 again next year. I think he's a sneaky dark horse contender. If you can get that run game going, you can grind out some runs in this division, as we've talked about it being wide open. Yeah. You're going to have to move off Goff eventually.
Oh, yeah.
And Rattler, if you did pick first, Spencer Rattler would be a great pick in that division. You know what I mean? But yeah, I would be excited as a Lions fan.
If we get the run game going, I could see Goff having not even a bad year because that's what he needs to succeed. Is what everyone's saying is he needs a strong run game to be a good quarterback. And like we said, looking on paper, our offensive line in DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams, we should have a good run game next year. We again, operative word being should. Whether we will or not is a completely different question. But on paper, we could be a really good running team next year, and then Goff might actually be able to throw the ball. I
think there's 2 things at play with the Lions for me. One is, whenever a new regime takes a team over, especially a team that was in the state that the Lions are, I always look at how they draft and what they value. And I didn't really know anything about Brad Holmes. And I was quite pleased to see what he did, starting building trenches out, because that's something that doesn't show up on the stat sheet a whole lot, and it doesn't win you the plaudits on draft night. And, you're not in the headlines the next day, but it's the type of thing that wins you games, especially in a division like the NFC North. So, I mean, I've already said how much I love the pick of Sewell. It's one of those classic ones where you're like, just don't screw this up. And they did. So, that's fine. And D-line, I like that. They're clearly building themselves to be a very physical, hard-nosed football team. Now, you do need some science to go along with that. As a 49ers fan, I've been there in the Mike Singletary years when we were going to go out and hit people in the mouth. The problem is, once we hit them in the mouth and they didn't go down, we didn't really know what else to do. So, I guess
we already know we're going to bite the second kneecap off, though. We've already planned that second attack out. So
you have got a second stage, but that's my only real thing is that as long as there's something there. But also, talking about Goff, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of his, never really have been. But he's not going to kill you. I'm not saying he's going to win games, but he's certainly not going to lose you games.
He's not Stafford, though, JP. That's the thing. As a Lions fan who has basically only realistically, for my tenure as a fan of the Lions, Stafford has basically been there the whole time. It is weird when that kind of player who's been with your team forever goes away and you're like, oh, damn. He's really gone. Yeah. This is actually happening. But
it's a really tough act to follow as well. In terms of how good Stafford is, and there's no way that Goff can be at that level, but he could be at a good enough level to win games. And you're right, Mark. I think we'll see them grind out wins, and I think we'll see them sneak up on teams as well. Because I think a lot of people are thinking, like you said, top 5 pick next year, you know, new coach, new regime. We should be able to blow these guys. We play you in week 1, and the way that we sometimes come out and lay an egg in week 1, I'm not convinced that we'll get past that game.
All our hardest games are at the start of the season as well. That's the thing that I noticed. Like, most of our hard games are right at the start.
That's it. And if you can sneak up on 2 or 3 of those teams in the first 6, you know, you've got a half decent chance of a good season. So, yeah, I like what they did, and I like the chances of being out of the cellar, if you like. I don't think they're going to be a bad team. I'm not saying they're going to be a contender, but they're definitely not going to be a bad team.
They're not designed to play from behind. If you're going behind in games and you find yourselves 2 scores down, you're not going to win many games then. You know what I mean? But if you can play with a lead, if you can build up a bit of a lead and you can lean on that run game, I think this will surprise a few teams. You're not if you aren't going to turn many. You know, if you're down 10 points, you know, like I'll be laying the opposition to beat you, like, and I'll be stacking money on the opposition to beat you if you're 10 points down. I don't see you being one of these teams who's going to be able to get back into games once you fall behind by 2 scores. But I think that if you can play with a lead, I think you've got the ability to be able to grind it down, and your defense could be stingy enough this year.
Yeah, I'm not saying we're going to win the division by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah,
but
wide open, Bones. Stranger things are happening, mate.
I mean, especially if Rodgers goes, like, weirder things would have happened. But
that's the question mark, isn't it? That's the question mark.
I'd just like to see a season where we go over 500. Like, just. But then at the same time, there is a part of me that acknowledges this is year 1 of a rebuild, and I kind of don't want us to do that well. Like, there's a small part of me that it's not a good fan attitude to have, but that was like, we're still going to be rebuilding next year. If we lose a bit, it's not the end of the world.
Shall I tell you who needs to make a jump this year, Bones? Hawkinson has got to make a jump. I think when you look at that wide receiver room and you think, okay, you've got Amon St. Brown and all that, but look, rookies are rookies. We can get excited about things, but the truth of the matter is, if he gets 500 yards in his first season, is it going to be kind of chuffed? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Hawkinson's got to step up. He was a top 10 pick not that long ago. He's got to step up because, you know, like he hasn't really shown out yet. He's done it in spurts and spats, but he has to kind of step up now and become a true player for years.
Yeah, for sure.
I think you need to see. And on Matt Patricia, just quickly, and I say this with a lot of New England coaches, they seem to get the wrong part of Bill Belichick. So Bill Belichick's obviously a disciplinarian, and he's a no-nonsense kind of coach. And I think what we see his coaching tree come and try to be that.
Yeah.
And I think what they don't realise is that Bill Belichick is a fantastic people manager as well. You know, he had some massive personalities, you know, like in New England. You know, like Randy Moss played at New England and played his best football at New England, and he had a huge personality. But Bill Belichick knew how to manage him. Matt Patricia came out there and just thought, I'll be the disciplinarian. It's my way or no way. And he didn't. And what they did is they focus on the wrong part of Bill Belichick, and they try to be the wrong part of Bill Belichick. They don't go, oh, well, I need to be everything else that I learned about him as well, where a bit like Brian Clough, I guess. You know, like for English soccer kind of terms, where I need to bring somebody down a peg or two when they need to be brought down. But I also need to put my arm around somebody when they need to.
Yeah.
And I think that's where they didn't get that quite right.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I think you're 100% right. I think from all the stories we've heard, it was the rule of the iron fist. No music at practice, extra drills. Like, everyone's knackered constantly and getting injured. Yeah, it just didn't sound like a good atmosphere. But I feel like the Lions have taken up a good portion of the time. I know they're my team, and I am one of. But I don't want to drag it out any longer than it has to, because I don't want to be seen as favoriting the Lions in this situation. But no, I think overall, I'd have given us a good rating on our draft, maybe an A-, B+ kind of range. Like, I don't think it was bad. I don't think it's going to show immediately, but I think it's a good futures. It's a good draft for building on. But with that, I guess it would be time to move on to the Green Bay Packers. A recent addition to the group chat supports this team that nobody else in the NFC North likes, but there you go. If there's one thing that Bears fans, Lions fans, and Vikings fans can agree on, it's fuck the Packers.
No one likes friggin' cheese anyway.
And I think the whole thing they'll be agreeing on is hopefully Aaron Rodgers isn't there.
Yes.
It makes for a better division.
But like I say, we don't know what's going to happen. But it'd be be wrong of me if I didn't bring it up early on, to talk about the Packers, because if Aaron Rodgers is there, I know a lot of people expect Green Bay to win the division. I don't think it's as straightforward as a lot of people think, even if he is there. But if he isn't there, it's going to be like a few of you, but I think all three of you mentioned it. It's going to be wide open if he goes, and we don't know yet, do we? So, but obviously they have got Jordan Love there. Sat there for a year. We don't know what to expect from him, do we? Really, especially I've seen his tape in the past, and he's a good quarterback in college, but it's a question mark, isn't it? I suppose the positive is he sat there for a year with wide receivers and things like that, but it's a question mark. It's the same as all the rookie quarterbacks going in this year, really. Going into the room, but. Well, I could talk about Aaron Rodgers for ages, but that's where I stand on it. But I think, like I said, Aaron Rodgers staying there, everyone would presume that the Packers are going to win this division hands down. But I look at the offensive line and the players that they've lost in free agency, and although they've brought some players in the draft, I think it's. I'm not saying it's bad. You look at the All-Pro that they lost at centre, Corey Linsley. It's a massive loss. You've got Ricky Wagner, Lane Taylor that have gone, and they brought in Josh Myers, who I think is a good centre, but there's no Corey Linsley, is he? Obviously, he could be eventually, but he's at the moment. There's no Corey Linsley. He's going to be learning on the job. He's good in the run. He's good in the run defence, but run offensive line. But his passing is. Passes defense it's a bit lackluster. You've got Royce Newman at guard and Cole Van Lanen, who was at Wisconsin. He played left tackle, but I don't see him being a left tackle in the NFL. To be honest with you, I think he'll switch to guard. But like I say, you've got all these three players coming in to take over on the offensive line of these experienced players that they've lost. And I'd say that's a big concern, even with Aaron Rodgers there. I really do. I don't know what you guys think, but I'm still concerned. Like I said, even if Aaron Rodgers is there.
I think Elton Jenkins, who they drafted out of Mississippi State, who played guard last year, will probably slot into centre. I think he'll probably play centre. He was a natural centre, and he ended up playing guard last year because I had Lindsay. But when he came out of Mississippi State in the second round, I think they got him. He was a centre anyway. They just slotted him in at guard, and he did really well. He had a really good season at guard. I presume he's going to go back to centre like he did in college for Mississippi State and play centre for Green Bay. But it's a big question mark because, Corey Lindsey is an all-pro kind of player. He's got that Pro Bowl kind of calibre. And Elton Jenkins, for as good as he was last year, is still a second-year professional. You know what I mean? Whilst I do think he's a good player. Jordan Love is a big question mark. I liked him in college, but his 2019 tape, 2020 tape before he went in the draft was really poor. His 2018 tape for Utah was really, very good. So we don't really know what we've got out of him. We hear reports that he's been really poor in training at Green Bay. In pre-season, he's been really poor. I'm not quite sure what they're doing at running back. They brought back Jones, and they give him a lot of money.
Yeah, they did.
And they've got AJ Dillon, who the blew a second round pick on last year, stashed him behind him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think I know they picked up Kylan Hill late on, and it could be something, but it's not going to be anything physical for him. But he's got pass catching ability. He's elusive, but he's totally different to the Jamal Williams that's gone to the Lions. But I do like AJ Dillon. I thought the few glimpses we saw of him last season, he looked like a good running back. Potential going forward. Yeah, big, strong, and he did well. I think it was the I don't know if it was the playoff game or the last game of the postseason. I can't remember which one it was, but he looks good. But I was surprised that they re-signed Aaron Jones. To be honest with you, I don't get me wrong. I think he's a good player, but
a lot of money as well. A lot of money for him as well.
But I like Carl. Just speaking of the draft, I thought I wasn't. No disrespect to the players that the Packers drafted, but I just thought a few of the decisions made were a few head scratchers to me. I thought the Eric Stokes pickup in the first round was was bizarre. You know, I like Eric Stokes. I think he's a good cornerback, but I thought there were better cornerbacks for what Packers use on the board. I didn't even think they probably needed one in the first round. But like everyone were laying into Kevin King. I think he had apart from obviously he had a bit of recession in 2020. I don't think it was as bad as people thought. I think they just picked on him because of the Tampa Bay game. I thought he had a decent season, so I'm surprised they went cornerback there. And the other big one I thought was the trade up for Amari Rodgers. They gave away, I think it was a 4th round pick to Tennessee in the 3rd round and their 3rd round pick to go up and get Amari Rodgers. Obviously, they've seen something that they must really love in him. But I looked at the players, like I wrote them down here that are left on the board. If they would have stayed at 92, they still would have had a chance of Spencer Brown, Monty Rice linebacker, James Hudson, and Quinn Menares. And they gave up the 135 pick to the Titans to go up and get Amari Rodgers. And there were Dante Smith, Rashad Reaver, Buddy Johnson, Josh Ball. Better players that positions than Amari Rodgers. And obviously they must see something in him. Again, nothing against Amari Rodgers. I think he's a decent player. But I thought it was a bizarre move to give away your 3rd and 4th pick to go up and get someone like him. And Amari St. Brown was still on the I think he went later on. I think he went in
Tillon Wallace was still there.
It was a real head scratcher, that one. Obviously, like I said, they must really love something in him. But yeah, a real head scratcher. So I thought the draft, even though they picked up some good players, you know, I thought it wasn't the greatest of drafts from the Packers, to be honest with you. I don't know what you guys thought of it. You know.
Yeah, I pretty much agree. I think I said on this pod on the post draft one, I don't really know what the Packers are doing. And I feel like I say that every year, and yet they still seem to be in contention. But I think a lot of that is riding off the arm of Rodgers, and he's clearly quite pissed off about that now. I don't get the sense they know what they want or where they're trying to go as a team. I feel like they'll be okay this year, as you say, if Rodgers comes back. But I feel like there's a fall in their future unless they manage to straighten the drafting out, because you can't keep patching over stuff with bizarre draft picks, because a lot of them haven't produced, and keep hoping that it's going to be all right. I don't think it's going to stay like that for too long.
I agree with you, JP. I don't understand Green Bay's draft strategy at all. It's almost like they're literally just throwing darts at a board. I know we've used that analogy to describe the draft before, where you are kind of just throwing darts at, but they really genuinely do seem to be just going, there you go, that's who we're taking, whatever. It doesn't make sense, and I think this is part of the reason we've heard the Aaron Rodgers rumor so much about he's not happy at Green Bay. I think everyone who looks at Green Bay's draft goes, what is that? Yeah, why are you doing that? And imagine being their quarterback who's trying to get, how close is he to being in a Super Bowl these past few years? And he's closer to the end of his career than he is the start of his career. Let's put it that way.
I'll just throw it out. Sorry, I'll just throw it out to all three of us a question. Put yourself in Aaron Rodgers' shoes. You look at free agency, the players they've lost. You look at the players they've signed in free agency. Nobody up until Blake Bortles recently. You look at the draft and the players they've pulled. What are you thinking as Aaron Rodgers right now? It surely can't be positive, and you understand.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought so.
I think drafting his replacement was a big kick in the teeth. This guy has made fortunes. Michael Lombardi on the GM Shuffle, the pinch a bit that Michael Lombardi did, talks about Green Bay suffering for not having a clear owner. They don't have any owner. It's all part owned by fans and have a guy who's voted on it in AGM and all that kind of stuff. And the suffer from not having that. Because if they had an owner, he would have his arm around Aaron Rodgers and be saying, let's build around this guy, let's get behind him, and let's have the last years of his contract, the best years of his contract, because that guy's made them a lot of money. You know what I mean? Yeah. He hasn't been rewarded. He has been financially, but he hasn't been loyalty-wise. And an owner would know that, because an owner would know how much money he brings into that football team. He has made that franchise rich.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, Aaron Rodgers? Let's remember that. Secondly, as well, if he goes, you've got Devante Adams, whose contract's up at the end of the year. I'm presuming they're going to franchise tag him. But he's not going to want to stick around beyond that. So you're potentially using your quarterback and your best wide receiver in his prime. You know what I mean? And I'm with you. Eric Stokes, for me, was a good player. But he wasn't even the best corner in Georgia. You know, your Tyson Campbell was.
Campbell was better. Yeah.
I like Stokes. He was very good in the SEC, which is a very tough division. But he reminds me a little bit of what we did with Alex Leatherwood, not to go back to the Raiders. But his floor is high, but where's his ceiling? Where's his ceiling? Well, probably it's tapped out. The guy's been a starter for 4 years in Georgia. How much better is he going to get? He gets good coaching there. He plays good opposition there. He's not going to get much better as a pro. Same as Alex Leatherwood. He played 4 years at Alabama. He gets really good coaching there. How much better is Alex Leatherwood going to get in the NFL? Is this what we're seeing? Is that what they're going to be? And that's what I kind of think with Eric Stokes, is what we're seeing, what he's going to be. He's not Patrick Surtain. You know what I mean? He was a very good corner in the SEC, but I don't think he's going to get beyond much better. I'd have took someone like Tyson Campbell, who the other Georgia corner, who was a junior, who was yet to reach his season. I think he looked like the better player. I'd have took Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore was there. I'd have took Elijah Moore, and if I was going corner, I would have went to Santiago Samuel. I'm like you. I'm like, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what direction they're going in. I think they suffer for don't having an owner, and I think they're on really dangerous ground with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
I
wanted to ask you all. I wondered at the time of seeing it if the Jones extension was more to try and appease Aaron Rodgers to some extent. Like we all said, it's big money for a running back going into his second contract. We're not 100. Like it's not the best deal in the world for them. Like it's a lot of money they gave up Williams to like cover it and stuff. Like, is that them doing something to try and keep Rodgers happy? Like keep his best running back around? Like it's not enough, but is that why they did it?
Possibly. I think it was a bit of a panic move as well, because a few people were out the door pretty quickly when free agency opened, and it's kind of like, oh shit, we need to look like we're doing something. Right, go give him the money. I thought it was a strange deal. Still do. I don't get it. I don't understand the Packers. I can't say any more than that. It's a one sentence job. I don't understand the Packers.
I think as well, another thing that I haven't mentioned. So if you've got David Bakhtiari, who's probably going to miss at least half the season. I don't know how bad his ACL is, but it's normally you're looking at 8 to 12 months, and he only did it in January. So I think that's what I mean. That's why I think it's even with Aaron Rodgers, it could be a little bit closer than what people make out. If David Bakhtiari ain't there, if they don't get that left tackle right, if Vikings, Khalil Mack, Bears could be having a field day when they play against each other.
They can't get out of that Aaron Jones contract. I'm just looking at it now.
Yeah,
48 million over 4 years. 48 million. That's 12 million a year for a running back. That's a shit lot of money.
Yeah.
And there's no out in it. Dead cap hit in the first year, 4.46 million. Dead cap hit in the second year. Sorry, dead cap this year would be 13 million. Dead cap next year would be 9.75. There's a bit of an out in 2023, but the dead cap's still 6.5 million. And that is fully guaranteed.
How much did you say? 40?
48 million.
That's only 2 million less than Derrick Henry signed for his 4-year contract. Just to put that into perspective, they're paying him 2 million less than Derrick freaking Henry. Like, Jones is a good running back, but is he 2 million less than Derrick Henry good?
And Derrick Henry's is scared. Derrick Henry's a weird structure. You can get out. You know what I mean? There's a break point in it. You can get out of it in 2 years' time. Aaron Jones, you're keeping him for 4 years, or you're going to eat some cap. You're going to eat about 6.5 million. It's such a bad contract. It's really, really bad contract. It's such a badly written contract. I don't know who did it.
I think you're right. I really think a lot of this comes back to they don't have an owner. Like, I think that is the Packers' biggest flaw as a team is they don't have an owner. Like, owners, for everything that everyone says about their owners and how much some owners suck and et cetera, they do have they do serve a purpose, and there is no clearer case of that than the Green Bay Packers, in my opinion. Like, there is no more evident case of you do need an owner around.
So much money in that. So much money in that deal.
Yeah, I think before we go on to the Vikings, I think my end is it's going to be a very, very long season for the Packers. Whoever is QB1 there, I think it's. I think you thought it were bad with the Seahawks with Russell Wilson this season. This is so much worse than Green Bay.
Yeah. This is going to be the Wentz Peterson story of this year, isn't it? It's going to be the one where we're getting loads of little pictures of like, look at them scowling at each other on the sideline, and that's going to be. Sorry,
I don't think Rodgers goes back.
Not at all.
I don't think he will. He doesn't need to.
I don't think he plays again for Green Bay. I think he'll walk off. I think he'll walk away. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is the type of guy to make threats. No. I think he wants the GM gone, whoever it is. He wants whoever's running the club at this minute gone. You know, I feel like he's got. People can go on about Aaron Rodgers, about has he done this rightly or has he done this wrongly? Is he holding the team to ransom? But the truth of the matter is, I don't think we'll see Aaron Rodgers again in the Green Bay shirt. I'd be surprised.
I think there's too many bridges burnt now, and they're totally gone out there. They're totally gone. It seems unfixable, really.
Yeah, I think he's gone. I think you'll either retire or you'll fashion a trade or something. People will probably think Denver will be in. I hope to God the Raiders are on that front. I really, really, really hope to God that the Raiders are on that front, because we passed on them already. We drafted Fabian Washington. The pick before Aaron Rodgers, we drafted Fabian Washington. The corner. It was dreadful.
I thought in one season we'd lose Stafford and Rodgers from the NFC. If it does happen,
it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Don't see him come back.
Think about how much of a seismic shift in the NFC North that realistically is in one off season to go from, the quarterbacks that were there to now what Kirk Cousins is arguably the second best quarterback in that division. Suddenly, what is this off season? How has this happened?
I wonder what it would cost Aaron Rodgers. 38 years of age, coming off an MVP season, has never really had a bad year. Has always been elite. His arm still looks amazing. Just won the MVP. I wonder what his price would be. If I'm looking at the Raiders, I'm thinking it's going to cost at least Derek Carr and a couple of firsts, and I would do it in a heartbeat. You know what I mean? But what would I bet you Sam Fran would have liked to have this drama to have happened before they moved up to number 3. You could have saved some capital and maybe got him.
There was some chatter. We offered 3 to the Packers for Rodgers, but obviously it has no real value to them. They've already drafted the guy that they think is the next QB. So, maybe we would. I think the price is kind of tough to gauge though, because he has no value if he's to the Packers at least. He has no value if he's saying he won't play again if they don't trade him. So.
Not yet, Mr. Patrick.
Have we done the Vikings yet? No, Pat, we haven't. I'm up next. That's a friend of mine. Hello, Pat. Nice to see you.
The Vikings are up soon, yes. No, I think it's very strange, but it's probably going to happen, like you say. And I think if it does happen, I think wherever he goes, I can't help but think he's looking at what Tom Brady's got right now and being like, man, that guy gets to pick basically whoever he plays with. Why do I not get that? I'm an MVP quarterback. I just got MVP without winning the Super Bowl, without even winning our championship game. Why can't I pick our draft? Why can't I pick who we go out and sign? Why do I have no say in this? And I think that's going to be a big thing.
Maybe that's the solution. The first ever quarterback general manager in NFL history. Maybe that's the solution.
At this point, by all accounts, that's basically what Brady is, isn't it? He is quarterback, general manager, head coach, offensive coordinator, all at the same time, effectively.
Manning used to be his own OC as well. That's how Adam Gase got head coaching jobs. We all know how that one turned out.
In terms of star power, Aaron Rodgers has got it. You know what I mean? He's bona fide star power, and you've got to remember he's only won one Super Bowl, and he's still got that kind of star power. You know what I mean?
He deserves another one. As much as I hate the Packers, Rodgers as a player deserves another one. As a player, the Packers organization don't deserve any more, but Rodgers can go get another one.
I'll make a promise: if the Raiders sign Aaron Rodgers, I'll do me Rocky video live. I'll do it live, stream it.
No longer an in-joke. Well, before we do move on to JP's one, there is a quick one from Liam from the group. Vikings winning the North. We will be covering our prediction after JP's gone through the Vikings draft. But I thought I'd just throw that one out there for the group before we get into this. So yeah, JP, the Vikings. What do you think of how they've done? I mean, they already have a top tier running back. So
yeah, they do. Do you know what? I've been looking at this team for, well, pretty much on and off since the last podcast because I asked for the Vikings. And the reason I asked for the Vikings, and I am prefacing my analysis with this to try and not to piss off any of the viewers, I do actually quite like the Vikings. They're a little bit, I don't have a second team. I don't think that exists in the NFL, but I've always quite liked to see them do well. And, you know, I like them in the North. They're a good side. With that said, I look at this roster and I want to like it more than I actually like it. There are some really, really good players there. I look at receiver. They got Thielen and Justin Jefferson. That is a really good tandem. I absolutely love that. You know, on the back end of the defense, they got themselves Harrison Smith. I love Harrison Smith as a player. You know, real defensive leader. Really like him. Kendricks, I like at linebacker. I like the D-line. The D-line's pretty good. They've added a couple of people to it. I'll talk about the draft in a second. There's bits of this team that I really like, and then there's parts of it where, like, it looks like the NFL's witness protection program. There's players that I just do not understand how they're in the roles they're in, and I guess that's where I kind of am with it. I'll talk about the draft first because I thought they had a really good draft. I actually declared them the winner of round one, I think, after the first night because they traded down and got, for me, one of the best linemen in the draft. They went and got Daraso. I just have to say that because Mark's on. But I like what they did. They moved down and got the player they probably would have got anyway. I can never question that. I thought that was a good pick. And you look at that O-line, they need some talent infusion in there. There's a couple of good players. Garrett Bradbury is a pretty good centre. You know, there's a couple of good players there. But if I'm looking at it, I'm going, yeah, I can see why they went there. They might have gone edge, but they actually picked up a couple later on. So I'll talk about that in a sec. They sprung a bit of a surprise going for Kellen Mond. I really like Kellen Mond. I think he's got an inconsistency to his game, but I think he was all over people's boards. Chris Sims had him in the first round. I don't know if anyone else did, but there was people that had him in the first round. There's a lot of people had him in the second. They were able to grab him reasonably late. You know, I thought it was a good pick, and I think when you look at that QB situation, Kirk Cousins is an all right player. He's kind of like the Jimmy Garoppolo of the NFC North for me. There's nothing wrong with him, and he can take you quite far, but he's not a superstar player. I don't necessarily think Kellen Mond's a superstar player either, but I know why they brought him in. They're looking to the future at that position. Cousins' contract is huge. They can get out of it soon. And Kellen Mond, maybe they can bring him along. The only issue I maybe have there is the offensive coaching talent on that team isn't brilliant. They've lost a few people over the last couple of years. It's not bad, but it's not great. And then just a few others up and down the draft, different picks that I like. Patrick Jones, liked him. Think he's a good player. I think he'll fit in well in Zimmer's defense. They even grabbed Janarius Robinson, who I also quite liked. I was looking at edges quite a bit because it was quite weak not weak at the top, but there was, I think we've said already, there was no outstanding edge in this year's draft. But I think what there was a lot of like average to good players. And I think the Vikings got two good ones in good spots. I like both players. And one of the biggest reasons I like the Vikings is the head coach, Mike Zimmer. I like Mike Zimmer. I think his defenses are consistently pretty good. And I like him as a head coach, and I think he's took them to a good level. The issue for me, as it is with a lot of teams, well, there's a few issues really. Corner, not sold on the corners. They brought in Patrick Peterson. I don't know how much he's got left. I can see why they went for it. It's a veteran player, but I'm not enthused by it. Safety's pretty good, but I think DB is an issue. O-line, I've already talked about. Not too keen on their O-lineman. They need Daraso basically as a day one starter in the worst way, and basically he needs to be the tackle everybody thinks he is. Other than that, I think the D-line depends on Hunter getting back to health as well. I don't know what the current situation with that is. I believe he is on track to start the season, but also there's rumours he wasn't too happy with his contract, might be traded, blah, blah, blah. they've decent depth on the D line. They've a lot of like good role players. I don't know if they've one outstanding player beyond Hunter, but there's good players there. In general, I think it's a good team, but it's just, I suppose, in a scenario where Rodgers isn't in the North, they've as good a chance as any other team, because the Bears are breaking in a rookie, which can go either way. I mean, we've seen it work superbly, for some teams. We've seen it work badly for others. The Lions are in the middle of a rebuild. They're going to win games. We've already talked about that. They've as much chance as anyone. I'm just not huge. It all depends on the Packers, really. I think they're in a position to seize it, but I also feel a bit like they're a bit of a time bomb as well. The Vikings, really, they've been a sort of like average to good team for a while, and it's just that point of. I think the few teams are in this spot, and I think I said it about the Ravens last week as well. Get to this point, and it's like you can only really go up to the next level, which is like consistent contenders. Most teams don't make it there. Most teams fall back. And I think the uncertainty a little bit over Cousins' future. And to be honest, can he take him any further? I don't know. I know the answer to that question. I don't think he's a bad quarterback. If things had worked out differently, he might be quarterbacking in San Fran right now. And then I would have to like him. So, but I think there's just things I don't like it enough. I look at it and I go, yeah, good team. 9-7, something like that, but just not quite good enough to be a contender. I think they can nick the division in a scenario where Rodgers isn't there, but I'm just not that enthusiastic about them, really.
I like what they did on the offensive line. They needed to get off Rashad Hill, who was a practice squad player who they had penciled in to play left tackle. Last year he was on the Jacksonville Jaguars practice squad. I mean? And he was going to start left tackle. They got Christian Darrisaw.
Yeah.
My feelings about Christian Darrisaw. I think he looks lazy at times, but I think that's because he plays the game very easily. The game comes easy for him. I think if anybody's going to be Mike Zimmer. And I don't think he was lazy anyway. I think he was just that much better than the opposition when he was playing for Virginia Tech. I like Wyatt Davis, the guy who they got from Ohio. I'm presuming he's going to play at left guard.
Yeah.
So a whole new left-hand side. Garrett Bradbury, who was a high pick, is going to play centre. The right-hand side, Ezra Cleveland came in. He was a draft pick last year. And I think he was a second rounder last year. And he was a flyer up the boards. And I think he could maybe play right tackle. He might play right guard. They've got Brian O'Neill. The offensive line's got a lot of question marks about it, and it's very young. Garrett Bradbury's yet to show out. Christian Darrisaw, he's a rookie. Wyatt Davis is a rookie. Ezra Cleveland is a second-year player. Brian O'Neill's a young player as well. So they've got some questions there across the offensive line. It could either be good or it can be absolute bin fire.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? There's a real it's a real boom or bust, and I don't like teams that don't have a solid O-line going into the year. And also that it's not like we talked about the Bears a little bit, where you can make it work with your legs. Kirk Cousins is not going to do that. Kirk Cousins is a pocket passer, so he needs that pocket.
If the O-line does work out, though, if that setup, if these new guys that come in and do work out, that I can't help but bring him up again because I watched him run all over us last year. Dalvin Cook behind that line, if it is a good line, is going to do well in the North. Again, is one of the Northern run-heavy divisions. Everyone's trying to run the ball, and they do have a very good running back if that line works out.
They've got a good punch. Alexander Mattison's one of the better backup running backs in this division. They've got a good 1-2 punch. I like Alexander Mattison as well. And I love what they've got a wide receiver, Thielen and Jefferson. Yeah. That's one of the best tandems in the NFL.
Well, it might be the best. I absolutely love it. Yeah, it's a really good tandem. Really, really good.
I like their tight end. And I think if I was going to peg anybody for a breakout season in the NFC North this year, it would be Irv Smith Jr. If I was a fantasy player and I was targeting middle round, tight ends, I would put Irv Smith Jr. pretty high on my list. Of tight ends that I would want to stash deep on a fantasy roster. I think he's got the potential to be a very good player. Kyle Rudolph's moved off to the New York Giants, of course. But I think Irv Smith Jr. is a very good player. Mm-hmm. I think potentially, on paper, there's a lot of question marks about this team, but it can be a good football team.
Yeah. I just couldn't. I couldn't
think you want
solidify
everything
it in my head. I couldn't like them enough. You know what I mean? I see it and I see the potential, but I just couldn't. Sitting here, I couldn't solidify it and say, yeah, this is definitely going to be a good team. I can say this could be a good team, but I can't say, yeah, definitely 100%. You know, that's my issue.
I like what they did in free agency on defense. I still think Patrick Peterson's got something in the tank, a corner. You know what I mean? You know, the Mike Hughes has gone already. He's went to the Kansas City Chiefs. I saw.
Yeah, that's right.
Was never fit. But they've got Cameron Dantzler, who was, despite his slow 40 time, was a good cornerback in Mississippi State and played in the SEC and played a lot of football last year. A lot of it rotates around Danielle Hunt and what they're going to get back.
Yeah.
They've got Anthony Barr to come back as well. And I like what they did getting Xavier Woods from Dallas Cowboys in free agency to slot in at free safety, because, of course, they lost their free safety. And I think that whilst he's not in the same bracket, you know what I mean, or he's still a solid enough pro, I think there's a lot of like on paper, but a lot's got to go well for them. A lot to go well for them.
Like you mentioned, Danielle Hunter there, and you know, they relied on him heavily. You know, like in the past. I like Patrick Jones. You know, they picked up from Pitt.
Yeah,
I don't think he is what he is. He'll play it on the edge, and he'll rush the passer in a 4-4-3 system, and he'll fit in perfectly at the Vikings, and he'll keep getting into the backfield constantly. He won't give you anything else apart from that, but he'll keep getting into the backfield constantly. I think it's a nice pick-up for him. Who could work out well for him. We'll see.
Yannick Ngakoue. That's what I thought when I watched Patrick Jones. Yannick Ngakoue isn't going to do much in the run game, but as a third down pass specialist, he's going to get sacks.
I might be wrong here as well. I might be wrong, but I think that this pick that they got, and they picked Patrick Jones, was an extra pick from Ngakoue going to the Raiders. I might be wrong there. I think it's something like that, and stuff I read somewhere. So there's a quick bit of a.
Well, they did obviously trade for Ngakoue last year, and then traded him away. And I think that's probably what they saw in Patrick Jones is. They saw a bit on Ngakoue-like skill set. Whilst I don't think he'll be a full-time rotational player, I think he'll be a designated pass rusher. I think he'll probably find his way in the backfield and get a few sacks.
Yeah, and Zimmer will know how to use him. That's the thing as well. A player like that going to a defensive coach, a good defensive coach as well. I think that's. I really like that pick. That was one of the ones I picked out and thought, yeah, top pick. Really like that.
He's one of them I quite like for the Raiders in middle rounds. Obviously, we went and got Coons, but I would have been happy with Jones.
I think I can't remember how many it was. The good thing with Vikings, they had so many middle round picks that they can throw, they can take stabs at and stuff. That you'd like to think a few of them had come off. You know, I can't remember how many to 5. I think they had about 8 picks, didn't they, or something like that? Something crazy.
The kid from Florida State, they got Janarius Robinson. The other defensive end who they got he's got traits for days, as the phrase goes, but he's very traits based. That whole Florida State defense was very, very poor. They flattered to deceive. They didn't even flatter to deceive. They just deceived. They were just shite. They really were poor, that defense. Marvin Wilson went undrafted, for Christ's sake. You know what I mean? And he was a first-round talent last year. You know, that's how bad that Florida State defense looked. But he's got a lot of traits that would make a defensive line coach excited. Yeah. But look, it's a draft. If you get 2 starters, you're doing well. And I believe they found 2 on the offensive line. I think they got Wyatt Davis. Ohio's a good guard. One of the better guards in the class. And they got Christian Darrisaw. You know my thoughts on that. He should have been a Raiders pick.
He should have been, yeah. And I think, like, the only other thing as well, like, they're in a position where, and I could see them being one of these teams where if it doesn't start well, you know, maybe they give Mons some game time. I think they would have to be in a pretty dire straits for that. But they don't have a particularly easy start to the year. Looking at that schedule, you know, the first 4 weeks they're on the road in Seattle and Arizona. Sorry, they're on the road in Arizona and then they play Seattle. But I mean, there's a few games around it where you think they can pick wins up, but boy oh boy, does it get harder as well. That second half of the schedule is brutal. Like, they play obviously the Packers as a divisional team, the Ravens, the Cowboys, the Chargers. These are all like teams that I would expect to be there or thereabouts this year. I almost said the 49ers, but I won't. You know, these are teams that can play, and I think they're going to need some padding down the stretch. They're going to need to start well. fortunately, they usually do. It's usually the back end of the season that they tend to struggle in. They tend to have pretty hot starts. But I think there'll be a lot of eyes on Cousins this year because they've got some big decisions to make there going forward. They need to know what the future is at QB. It's probably not him either way because of his age, but like it depends how long he can play for. Really, it will be interesting to see what happens there. But I do like the team. I may not have sounded like that when I spoke. Actually, now that I think about it, I do like the team. I just don't know if I like it enough, and I think they're probably quite lucky that all this drama is going on in Green Bay because I think it will benefit them, regardless of whether Rodgers comes back or not. Because there's going to be a lot of focus, as you've all said, on their situation and how Rodgers is handling it and all those sort of things. I think they can sneak under the radar a little bit as a result. So yeah, optimistic signs, and I'd like to see him back in the playoffs. If only so we could run over him again in the divisional rounds.
I think Mark and Bones hit it on the head earlier. I think this division is going to be maybe not as bad as the NFC East last year, but it's going to come down to these last 4 games where they're playing each other and what players you have fit. Injuries are going to be a factor. And like I know, I think it's Vikings have got Bears twice in the last 4 games, and so I think that's what's going to come down to. End really, really close and. These division games at the end are going to decide who's probably going to go to the playoffs.
I think that brings us on to quite nicely to who do we think is going to win the NFC North, right?
Well, I don't expect Aaron Rodgers to come back. I just do not see Aaron Rodgers being the type of player who makes threats like that. And if he says he's not coming back, he ain't going back. He'll retire. You know what I mean? And he'll step off and he'll step off as an MVP and it'll be a shock. But I just do not see a bridge being rebuilt there, and I just do not think that Aaron Rodgers is the kind of guy to go back on what he said. Yeah. So I'm going without an Aaron Rodgers-led division. The bookies at this moment in time have the Green Bay Packers as clear favourites to win this division. They have the Vikings 3-1 as second favourites. If I'm a betting man, I'm putting my money today on the Chicago Bears to win this division. They're 9-2. It's a pretty good price. You know what I mean? Though they're 9-2, and I would have the Chicago Bears as an outside bet to win this division. They're third favourites at the moment. The Detroit Lions are 25-1 Bones. I would also slip a little sneaky bet on them each way. Because I think that they could finish second in this division. Stranger things have happened. Stranger things have happened. And if you want an outside punt, back the Detroit Lions each way. Let's see if they can get the second place in that division. But if I'm putting my money on now, I'm putting on Chicago Bears because I do not expect Aaron Rodgers to be.
Yeah, I'm going to come in there as well. I thought I was going to be the one that said the Bears when no one else did. So I guess I'll just have to have my weight to Mark's statement now. People forget they started well last year. I know there was some luck involved in that, but they were winning games last season. They've got a better quarterback. I'm gonna say the Bears. I'm gonna say the Bears in a non-Aaron Rodgers world.
Jordan,
I think I don't think you can go against any of them really. To say who can win it is that close really. But I think the Vikings will just sneak in and get top spot. And I have the Packers sliding down to third. I do have Bears in second, and I think the Lions. Sorry, Bones. I think Lions will be bottom, but I don't think it'll be as bad as when you say, the Lions will be bottom of the pack. I think it'll be so close, with this division this year. And I agree with Mark. I don't think Aaron Rodgers will be there. I think it'll be Jordan Love time. I think Justin Fields will overshadow him in that division.
It will not be Jordan Love time. It'll be Derek Carr time. The Raiders is going to happen. It'll be Derek Carr time. And they might do
I thought you were going to say for a minute there, it won't be Jordan Love. It'll be Balls time.
Balls time. That'd be funny.
The more depressing time in the world.
I'm inclined to agree. I think the Bears in a non-Patrick Mahomes world, and Patrick Mahomes. Aaron Rodgers. Sorry.
As well.
No, I looked at your friend's comment, Patrick Miller, and got myself all muddled up. Sorry, he said Lions going 0-6. You can't even go 0-16 anymore, buddy. It's a 17-game season. We're going 0-17. But anyway, no. I think in an Aaron Rodgers-less division where he's gone, they did that when that is over finally. I think the Bears with Fields is a good shout to take. The division. I don't think what Liam said before about the Vikings is a bad shout. I think they're definitely looking like the runners-up if Rodgers leaves. I think Green Bay have a really hard fall without Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're coming tumbling. That it's not a strong championship team they've built. There's
very little on that team outside him and Davante Adams, really. If I'm being totally blunt and honest, I don't think there's a lot on that team.
And if you've not got him to throw to Adams, how good is Adams anymore? Like,
do you know what I look at? I look at their red zone offense, and it was phenomenal last year. The Green Bay Packers' red zone offense last year was phenomenal. That was Aaron Rodgers. A lot of games were won on that red zone offense. You take away Aaron Rodgers, and you're not scoring as many touchdowns in the red zone as what you were. Just Jordan Love, or even if it is Derek Carr, or if it is Drew Lock, is not going to do what Aaron Rodgers was doing. You know what I mean? So that's the truth of the matter, like, you know.
So what we're saying, Bears first, Vikings second, we reckon overall, or
I think in a world if in a world where if it is somebody like Derek Carr who does go there or Drew Lock who goes there, I still think Green Bay will have enough to be the second best team in the division. I think the Vikings have got too many questions and too much has got to go right this year, and I think the Lions will probably be fourth. Although I would still have a punt on them each week because like with that running team we talked about, and I think they could. I think that team, if they get a lead, it could be hard to beat.
Yeah, Jordan, you were going to say something? Sorry.
No, I was about to say if you like a bet, I think Bears at the odds would be a good shout. To be honest with you, I didn't realise they were that big. What were it? 9-2? Were it? Did you say
9-2? 9-2. Vikings are second favourites. The Bears are third favourites at this moment in time.
I think Jordan hit it on the head when he said before, and like we've said it a couple of times, I guess now, is it's such a tight division. Like it may not be a strong division like we said about the AFC North last week, where it's got three teams that it could send to the championships this year. This isn't a three championship division. Like you said, this is one team at best, but it's still going to be a close run race for that first. Like we said, anyone could take it, but if I was going to put a bet on it, I would also at 9-2, I'd go for the Bears. Like that seems almost too good to pass up on as a slight underdog because it's not the underdogness isn't that much. Like.
I'd get on it now, so it ain't going to be that when Aaron Rodgers goes. I'd get on it early. I would put whatever money I was putting on it now and preempt and take a bit of a risk that Rodgers is going back. But I'm do not say him going back. Just do not.
Yeah. So in a Rodgers-less season, we're saying it's this then roughly.
Yeah, I'd go with that.
Jordan, JP,
yeah, that's fine by me. I think you could make a case for basically any of that moving around, but if I was forced to put it in concrete, I think that's what I would go with if Rodgers wasn't around.
Well, we've sort of forced ourselves to put it in concrete by doing that as the setup for the show, so we kind of have to do that bit. Like, it's a tough division to do it with, I guess, but no, I think I agree. Jordan, do you have any feelings on that?
No, like I say, I've gone for Vikings myself, but I don't disagree with you three on the Bears. It's going to be one of them where the first to fourth could be separated by 3 or 4 wins. It's going to be so close.
Yeah,
a bit NFC East, like I think was it Mark said about
better quality. Yeah, I hope so. I hope we're not the NFC least of last year.
Hopefully, Justin Fields doesn't trip and fall when he's 70 yards down the field with no defenders near him. Anything like that. Right, am I safe to tweet that out then and get us some abuse from Packers and Vikings fans?
Yeah, get out.
Yeah.
This is an Aaron Rodgers gone.
Aaron Rodgers is gone with this scenario. We do need to make sure that
we killed him. Aaron Rodgers is dead.
We can't confirm anyone will be alive at the end of the week, let alone on the team.
So next week where we're at, we've got the EFC East. We're going clockwork, so it's North East. So we're back to the EFC. We're in the EFC East next week. We'll have a chat offline and we'll divvy up teams again.
Yeah.
I feel like just giving Jordan the Patriots just to fucking throw it at him because he gave me, like he snuffed me this week. But we'll have a discussion on that. That'll be good. I hope everyone joins us back then. Yeah, that'll be nice, won't it? I think that's a good division to look at. I think I might bagsy the Dolphins. Ooh, I think I might bagsy the Dolphins.
Yeah. Dolphins sounds like a good one. As long as I don't have to do the Patriots. As long as I don't have to talk about. No.
I've
been confident enough just to go use pick first, and I'll take what's left each time. You know what I mean? I think I should get a stay at this time of who I actually want instead of just going well, who's left. You know what I mean?
Fair.
So I'm thinking I might go for the Dolphins. Or
I tried to do that last time, and I took Packers. You gave me Bears.
No, as always, it's been a pleasure, gentlemen. It's always great to talk to you guys about football. Like
always a pleasure, never a chore.
Yeah, follow us on all the various social medias at Third Short Pod, as you can see below. And just to give it one last mention, because we might have some different people around. Matt was mentioning they've got some glasses in that have been done by Elm Bank Lasercraft. You can follow them on Instagram, and there is also a current one-time use discount code. But thought I'd just quickly give that a mention while we're here, boys. But yeah,
can I just throw something in and just give a big thank you to Bones for both hosting and producing. He's been thrown in at the 11th hour, almost literally, and you've done a fantastic job, mate. I think it was seamless. You did a cracking job, fella.
I've tried.
I call Master Zoom, so never mind doing all of this. Like I've not lockdown as a director. Can I say as well, as a director at work, and not had to set up a single Zoom meeting. I've been able to get everybody else and just go, can you set up the Zoom meeting and I'll just invite me in? You know what I mean?
I think there's questions to be asked by Matt and Tom, the producer, after this episode.
We've got a producer controversy.
Coming for your job. Coming for your job, man. No, it's thank you very much. No, it's I've noticed I do look over this way a lot, but that is where the actual production screen is. So occasionally I'm looking over this way, but no. Yeah, it's been fantastic, gentlemen. And yeah, people can follow us. We gave our prediction that JP's going to tweet out, and then we'll be back for the AFC East next week. So otherwise, guys, I'm probably just going to end the stream there.
Yeah.
So